The country club dining room sparkled with old money and older traditions. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. White tablecloths stretched across tables filled with people who'd never worried about a bill in their lives. The Westbrook Club had been the heart of upper-class society in our town for 90 years, a place where business deals happened over 18 holes and family legacies were built over Sunday brunch. My family had belonged here for 3 generations. I was sitting at the end of a table for 12, watching my brother Marcus hold court. It was his engagement party, or rather, his second engagement party, since the first one last month had been quite grand enough for his fiancée Brittany's Instagram standards. Another toast, Marcus stood with his champagne glass raised. His face was flushed with alcohol and self-satisfaction. To Brittany, who said yes even though she could do so much better. And to all of you for celebrating with us at the finest club in the state. Applause around the table. Mom beamed. Dad nodded approvingly. My sister Charlotte was already posting photos with strategic hashtags. I sipped my water and checked my phone. Alex. Marcus's voice cut through the chatter. Alex, put the phone away. We're celebrating here? I looked up. Everyone was staring at me. Sorry, I said quietly. Work email. Work email. Marcus laughed. Guys, my sister still thinks checking her email at 10 p.m. on a Saturday makes her look important. That's adorable. A few nervous laughs from his friends seated nearby. I actually am working, I said evenly. I have a call with Tokyo in the morning about Tokyo, Marcus interrupted, making exaggerated air quotes. Right? Your international consulting job. Is that what we're calling freelancing from your studio apartment now? More laughter. Louder this time. Charlotte leaned forward. Marcus, don't be mean. I'm not being mean. I'm being honest. Alex has been out of school for, 5 years? And she's still living like a grad student. No house, no car worth mentioning, no membership here at the club. He gestured around the room. Meanwhile, Trevor and I are both making partner at the firm. Charlotte just bought that condo downtown. And Alex is doing her own thing, Dad interrupted. His tone suggested this was not a compliment, which is fine. Not everyone needs to achieve at the same level. Some people are late bloomers. I set down my water glass carefully. Mom touched my hand. Sweetheart, your father doesn't mean it negatively. We just worry. You work so hard at this consulting thing, but we never see the results. Shouldn't you be thinking about stability? About building something permanent? I am building something, I said. A career you can barely explain to us. Marcus shook his head. Alex, I love you, but you've got to admit your choices haven't exactly been winners. You turned down the position at Dad's firm. I didn't want to practice law. You moved to that tiny apartment. Instead of staying in the family house, I wanted independence. And now you're redoing this mysterious consulting work that pays so little. You can't even afford a membership here. He spread his arms. I mean, come on. Look around. This is where successful people gather. This is where our family belongs. But you can't even get past the guest policy. Brittany's hand was on his arm. Babe, maybe we should know. She needs to hear this. Marcus leaned forward. Alex, I'm saying this because I care. Your life looks like failure from the outside. I know you think you're doing something important, with your little side hustles and your freedom and whatever, but at some point, you need to grow up and join the real world. The table had gone quiet. I looked at Mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I looked at Dad. He was nodding along with Marcus. Charlotte at least looked uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything. You're right, I said finally. I can't afford membership here. Marcus smiled like he'd won something. See, at least you're being honest. I need to make a phone call. I stood up. Excuse me. I walked across the dining room, feeling eyes follow me. Marcus's friends were already whispering. I caught fragments, still living like she's broke, embarrassing for the family. Surprised they even let her in as a guest, I walked outside to the club's terrace overlooking the golf course. My phone was already in my hand. I pulled up a contact I'd saved 3 months ago, James Patterson, Westbrook Club manager. It rang twice. Ms. Chun. His voice was professional, slightly surprised. Is everything all right? James, I need you to do something for me. Of course. What do you need? I took a breath. I need you to find Marcus Chun. He's in the main dining room right now. Engagement party. Table by the windows. I need you to deliver a message to him in front of his guests. What's the message? Tell him that the club's new owner has reviewed his account and found his $25,000 membership deposit is being forfeited due to conduct violations. Tell him he has 30 days to settle his outstanding tabs $8,400 as of last month. His membership will be terminated. Silence on the line. Ms. Chun, are you sure? This is your brother. I'm sure. And James, make sure his friends hear it. Understood. Anything else? Yes. After you deliver that message, please tell my father that the owner would like to speak with him privately in your office. I'll meet him there in 10 minutes. Right away, Miss June. I hung up and walked to the far end of the terrace where I could see through the dining room windows. 3 minutes later, James approached Marcus's table. 3 months earlier, Ms. Chun. Thank you for coming. The real estate attorney, Patricia Wells, gestured to the chair across from her desk. Her office was on the 40th floor of a downtown high-rise, with views that cost more than most people's salaries. The Westbrook Club is in trouble, she said, without preamble. The previous owner died 6 months ago. His children have been trying to keep it afloat, but they've mismanaged the finances catastrophically. The club is 3 months from bankruptcy. I'd known this, of course. I'd been tracking the club's financial situation for 2 years. Ever since I'd started my real investment work, the work my family thought was consulting because that's what I'd let them believe. They're looking for a buyer, Patricia continued, quietly. They don't want the members to panic, but they need $4.2 million, and they need it fast. What are the terms? Full ownership transfer, including the land, the building, all facilities and equipment. The buyer would inherit the existing membership contracts but could renegotiate terms. The staff would stay on. It's turnkey, essentially, for someone who knows how to run a club, or someone who knows how to hire people who know how to run a club. She smiled. Exactly. I have a management consultant ready to review operations if you're serious about this. I looked at the folder she'd pushed across the desk. Financial statements, membership lists, facility assessments. I'd already reviewed preliminary versions of these documents, but these were the official ones. The membership list was interesting. Chun, Robert Sr., member since 1989. Chun. Marcus, member since 2019. Chun. Trevor, member since 2021. Chun. Charlotte, member since 2023. My family. 3 generations of Chuns had belonged to the Westbrook Club. My grandfather had played golf here every Sunday until he died. My father closed business deals in these dining rooms. My siblings treated it like a second home. I'd never been allowed to apply for membership. Too expensive for someone still finding their path. Dad had said when I'd asked it, maybe in a few years when you're more established. I'd never asked again. I'll take it, I said to Patricia. Don't you want to review the... I've already done my due diligence. Draft the purchase agreement. I'll have $4.2 million wired by end of week. Patricia's eyebrows rose. Ms. Chun, may I ask what you do for a living? Our background check showed consulting work, but ... double quotes, I invest in undervalued tech startups in Southeast Asia, I said. I speak Mandarin, Thai, and Vietnamese. I identify promising companies before they scale, buy in early, and sell at the right time. I've been doing it since I was 25. My current portfolio is worth approximately $35 million. She stared at me. My family doesn't know. I continued. They think I'm barely scraping by because I drive a 7-year-old Honda and live in a 600-square-foot apartment. I've let them think that because it's easier than explaining what I actually do. And now you're buying their country club. Now I'm buying their country club. I smiled, but I'd like to keep the ownership structure private for now. Set it up through an LLC. I do not want the members to know who owns the place until I am ready to tell them. When will you be ready? I'll know the right moment when it comes. Back to the present, the terrace through the dining room windows. I watched James approach Marcus's table. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could see Marcus's face change. Confusion first. Then anger. Then something like panic as James kept talking. Brittany's hand went to her mouth. Dad stood up. Mom looked bewildered. Charlotte was grabbing Marcus's arm. Marcus's friends were definitely listening now. James finished speaking and walked away. Marcus pulled out his phone frantically. He was probably checking his bank account, his membership account, trying to understand what was happening. Dad followed James out of the dining room. I watched them cross the main hall toward the administrative offices. I gave them a 30-second head start. 10 for you'd. James's office when I walked in. Dad was completely unacceptable. My son has been a member in good standing for 5 years. There's no conduct violation. This is harassment, and I'll be speaking to the owner immediately about. He stopped when he saw me. Alex, what are you doing here? I closed the door behind me and sat in the chair next to his. James stood behind his desk, his expression carefully neutral. Dad, James works for me. What? I own the Westbrook Club. I bought it 3 months ago. James reports to me. The color drained from Dad's face. That's not possible. It's very possible. Would you like to see the purchase documents? I pulled out my phone and opened the folder I'd labeled Westbrook Acquisition. I turned the screen toward him. There's the deed, the LLC registration, the transfer documents. All dated 3 months ago. He stared at the screen. Where did you get $4 million? I didn't need $4 million. I needed $4.2 million. And I got it from 7 years of successful investments in Asian tech markets. The same work you and Marcus keep calling consulting with air quotes. You've been lying to us? No, Dad. I've been private about my success. There's a difference. You never asked what I actually did. You just assumed I was failing because I didn't do things your way. He shook his head slowly. Teases in saying you bought our family's country club? I bought a failing business that needed an owner who could turn it around. The fact that it's the country club where my family has spent decades treating me like an embarrassment. Primera shrugged. That's just convenient. Marcus's deposit is being forfeited because he's violated the club's conduct policies 9 times in the past year. He's been verbally abusive to staff, he's skipped out on bar tabs, and last month he tried to use his membership to impress a client by implying he had influence over club operations. That's fraud. James cleared his throat. All documented, sir. We have incident reports from staff going back 18 months. Dad turned to him. You're taking her side. I'm taking the club's side. Ms. Chun is my employer, but even if she weren't, the violations are real. James pulled up a file on his computer. Would you like to see the reports? Marcus has been on staff watch lists for months. The previous owner ignored it, because your family has been members for so long. Ms. Chun is simply enforcing policies that should have been enforced years ago. This is revenge, Dad said, looking at me. You're punishing him for what he said at dinner. I'm holding him accountable for his behavior. If he'd been anyone else, he'd have been suspended months ago. I leaned forward. But since we're talking about dinner, let's talk about what Marcus said. And what you said. And what Mom said. And what no one defended me against. Alex, you called me a late bloomer. Marcus called my life a failure. Mom said I work hard, but never show results. All of you have spent years treating me like the family disappointment because I did unfollow your exact path. Because I didn't join Dad's firm, didn't buy a house in your neighborhood, didn't join this club. We were worried about you. No, you were embarrassed by me. There's a difference. I stood up. I didn't fit your definition of success, so you decided I wasn't successful. It never occurred to any of you to actually ask what I was doing. To ask if I was happy. To ask if maybe I knew something you didn't. Dad stood too. What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. Now, can we talk about Marcus's membership like reasonable people? We are talking like reasonable people. Reasonable business people. Marcus violated club policies. He forfeits his deposit and pays his tabs or he's out. That's the policy. That's fair. And me? Are you going to kick me out too? I considered him. Your membership is in good standing. You haven't violated any policies. You've always been respectful to staff, so no, your membership is safe. Relief flickered across his face. But, I continued, I'm implementing some changes. New membership rates go into effect in 60 days. The club has been operating at a loss because the old owner undercharged everyone. That's insane. You'll lose half your members. I'll lose the members who can't actually afford to be here. The club has 400 members and loses money every month. I'd rather have 200 members who pay fairly than 400 members who underpay and expect premium service. I paused. Your current membership is grandfathered at the old rate as long as you maintain it. But if Marcus wants back in, he pays the new rate after he settles his debts. Dad sat back down slowly. When were you going to tell us about all of this? I wasn't. I was going to run the club quietly and let you all keep assuming I was failing at life. But Marcus couldn't help himself tonight. He had to make me the punchline one more time. So I decided it was time you knew the truth. The truth that you're a millionaire. The truth that I'm successful by any reasonable measure. The truth that I've been successful for years while you all pitied me. The truth that your definition of achievement was so narrow you could unsee mine even when it was right in front of you. James's desk phone rang. He answered it, listened, then looked at me. Ms. Chun, your brother Marcus is in the main hall demanding to see you. Tell him I'm in a private meeting. If he wants to discuss his membership status, he can schedule an appointment through the main office during business hours. Of course. James relayed the message and hung up. Dad rubbed his face. This is going to destroy family dinners. Family dinners destroyed themselves years ago. I was just the only one who noticed. Your mother is going to be devastated. Mom has spent 3 years asking when I am going to settle down and find a real career. Maybe she'll be relieved to know I already have one. Alex, his voice cracked. I am proud of you. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I am. I just ... I didn't know. You never said anything? I tried. Multiple times. You didn't listen. You'd already decided who I was and what my life looked like, and nothing I said could change that narrative. He was quiet for a long moment. What happens now? Now, you go back to dinner. You tell Marcus his membership is suspended pending payment of his debts. You tell the family that the club has new ownership and new policies, and you let them draw their own conclusions about what that means. No. Are you coming back? I'm going home. I have that call with Tokyo in the morning. The one Marcus's thought was so funny. I walked to the door, then stopped and turned back. Dad. For the record, I don't hate you. You. I'm not doing this to be cruel or to get revenge. I'm doing this because I'm tired of being invisible in my own family. I'm tired of my achievements not counting because they don't look like yours. And I'm tired of being the punchline. I understand. Do you? Because if you do, if you really do, then maybe someday we can have a conversation where you actually ask about my life instead of assuming you already know everything about it. I left before he could respond. The parking lot, I was unlocking my car, my 7-year-old Honda that I kept because it was paid off and reliable when Charlotte caught up with me. Alex. Wait. Primera turned. She was breathless, like she'd run across the parking lot. Is it true? Do you really own the club? Yes. And you're really worth... Marcus said you told Dad you're worth $35 million. My portfolio is worth approximately that. Yes. She stared at me. How? I invested early in companies that grew exponentially. I was smart about when to sell. I diversified. I lived below my means and reinvested profits. I shrugged. It's not magic, Charlotte. It's just math and timing and a lot of research. Why didn't you tell us? would you have believed me? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't know. That's the problem. None of you would have believed me because you'd already decided I was the screw-up, the late bloomer, the one who needed help finding her way. I leaned against my car. It was easier to let you think that than to fight for you to see me differently. That's not fair. We love you. Do you? Or do you love the version of me that needs you? The version that makes you feel successful by comparison. Her eyes filled with tears. That's harsh. It's honest. I softened slightly. Charlotte, I'm not saying you're a bad person. None of you are bad people. But you're all so caught up in your own definitions of success that you in-see mine, and I'm done trying to translate my life into terms you'll accept. What about family dinners? Holidays? Are we just ... Oh, that's up to you. If you can see me as I actually am, if you can ask about my work without making jokes about it, if you can treat me like an equal instead of a charity case, then we're not over. But if I'm still the punchline, if I'm still the one everyone worries about, then yeah, we might be done. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. For not defending you tonight, for never asking more about what you actually do, for assuming. I appreciate that. Can we get coffee sometime? Like, actually get coffee and talk. I want to understand what your life actually looks like. I studied her face. She looked genuine. Scared, but genuine. Okay. Coffee. But, Charlotte, if you tell Mom and Dad what we talked about, if you turn this into family gossip, we're done. This conversation is between us. I promise. Then. Gia. Coffee sounds good. She hugged me quickly and ran back toward the club. I got in my car and sat for a moment in the dark parking lot, looking at the country club's lit windows. I could see the dining room where Marcus's engagement party was probably imploding. I could see the bar where Dad and his friends had closed deals for decades. I could see the terrace where it stood as a guest, never quite belonging. Now, I owned all of it. It should have felt triumphant. Instead, it just felt sad. 2 weeks later, the family group chat had been silent since the engagement party. Then, Mom texted, "Family meeting, Sunday dinner. Everyone needs to be there. Please, Alex." I almost ignored it, but Charlotte sent a private message. "Please come. I think Dad wants to actually talk. Like really talk." So I went. Sunday dinner was at my parents' house, the same formal dining room where we'd had hundreds of meals. But tonight there were only 6 of us. Mom, Dad, Marcus, Charlotte, Trevor, and me. The table was set, but no one was eating. Dad cleared his throat. "Thank you for coming, Alex." I nodded. "I've been thinking about what you said, about how we've treated you, about how we've defined success." He paused. "You were right with the Dasume. We did decide who you were without ever actually asking." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Dad continued, "I've spent 2 weeks reviewing your investments, the ones I could find publicly, at least, the tech companies you backed early that are now worth billions. The acquisitions you predicted, the markets you understood before anyone else did. Alex, what you've built is extraordinary. Thank you. I don't understand it. Not really. It's so far outside my experience that I can't even evaluate it properly, and I think that's why I dismissed it. I couldn't measure it against what I know, so I assumed it wasn't real." Mom was crying quietly. "I'm sorry," Dad said. "I'm sorry we made you feel invisible. I'm sorry we made jokes instead of asking questions. I'm sorry we made you prove yourself by buying our country club." "I didn't buy it to prove anything," I said quietly. "I bought it because it was a good investment. The fact that it gave me leverage to make you listen was just a bonus. A bonus we deserved." Marcus cleared his throat. "I paid the bar tabs, and I'm going through the membership reinstatement process with the new rates. James said it'll take 60 days. I looked at him. "You don't have to know. I do. What I said at the engagement party was inexcusable. You were right, been taking advantage of the club, treating staff badly, acting like membership was a right instead of a privilege." He paused. I was jealous of your freedom, your independence. You weren't playing by our rules and it made me uncomfortable. So prima mocked Italiano. I'm sorry. Trevor spoke up. I wasn't at the engagement party, but Charlotte told me what happened. I'm sorry, too. I've made my share of jokes about your consulting work. Mom reached across the table for my hand. What can we do? To fix these. I thought about it. Ask me questions. Real questions. About my work, my life, my plans. Stop assuming you know the answers. Stop measuring me against a template that doesn't fit. We can do that, Dad said. We will do that. And Dad, I met his eyes. The club is doing well. Membership is up. Revenue is up. Staff morale is up. I'm good at this. Even if it doesn't look like what you do, I can see that now. I should have seen it sooner. Dinner was still awkward, still tense in places, but it was different. People asked questions. They listened to answers. They didn't interrupt or make jokes. It wasn't fixed. Not completely. But it was a start. 6 months later, I was in my car, heading to the Westbrook Club, my club win. Charlotte called, "Hey, you coming to Marcus's wedding this weekend?" That's this weekend. Alex, he sent you an invitation 3 months ago. I know. I've just been traveling. Bangkok, then Seoul, then, let me guess, another tech startup that's going to make you another $5 million. I laughed. Something like that? Come to the wedding. It's at the club. Marcus specifically asked if you'd be there. Really? Really? He's been working with James, actually, volunteering on the events committee, helping with member relations. He's trying. Alex. Okay, I'll be there. Good, and hey, bring someone if you want. Invitation says +1. I might do that. I hung up and smiled. The wedding was beautiful. Marcus and Brittany looked happy. Dad gave a speech that was genuine and heartfelt. Mom cried in a good way. When Marcus saw me, he waved me over. You came. Of course. Thank you. For everything. For calling me out. For giving me a chance to do better. He paused. James said membership reinstatement is finalized next week. I know, he told me. You've done the work. Yeah? Turns out being respectful to people isn't actually that hard. He smiled. Who knew? Charlotte appeared with champagne glasses. Family, too, aced. Come on. Come on. We gathered, all of us, plus partners and spouses, on the terrace overlooking the golf course. Dad raised his glass. To Marcus and Brittany. And to family, and the real kind. The kind that shows up. The kind that listens. The kind that lets everyone define success for themselves. He looked at me when he said it. I raised my glass with everyone else, and for the first time in years, I felt like I belonged, not because I'd proven myself, but because they'd finally stopped asking me to. Epilogue: the Westbrook Club thrived under my ownership. I hired a full-time manager and stepped back to advisory role. The club became profitable within 18 months. Membership waiting lists grew. Staff turnover dropped to nearly zero. My family still didn't fully understand my investment work, but they stopped pretending to. They asked questions instead. They celebrated my wins. They stopped measuring me against their template. Marcus became one of the club's most active members, to good kin. He volunteered. He mentored new members. He treated staff with respect. Dad and I had lunch once a month. We talked about business, about life, about golf. He stopped giving advice unless I asked for it. Charlotte and I did get coffee. Regularly. She asked real questions and listened to real answers. Mom stopped worrying about my poor life choices and started bragging about my international business portfolio, even if she couldn't quite explain what it meant. The Honda lasted another 3 years before I finally replaced it with another Honda. Because some things aren't about money. They're about knowing your own worth and not needing anyone else to validate it.